He got the kind of chap lips that you can give to a nigga.
Because the nigga that been shooting at me is a motherfucking federal agent. How much you wanna bet?
A couple niggas up or something, you know what I'm saying? You know, put that metal in their mouth or something, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the wrong thing on that though.
On November 1st, 2004, one of the most influential rappers in West Coast history was shot dead in a drive-by in Kansas City, Missouri. His name was Mac Dre, the man who invented the sound, the culture, and the movement that put the Bay Area on the map forever. 6 months later, a Kansas City rap legend named Fat Tone was killed in a Las Vegas hotel parking lot. Then, a West Coast heavyweight known as Mac Minister was arrested, charged, and convicted of that murder. And he told the world exactly why he did it: to avenge Mac Dre. This isn't just one murder story. It's the story of three men from three different cities whose lives became permanently tangled in a web of music, street politics, rumors, and violence. Today, we break it all down.
First man out of the CI, you first better talk about.
I love this nigga right here. I swear to God.
Andre Louis Hicks was born July 5th, 1970 in Oakland, but grew up in Vallejo, California, a small city between San Francisco and Sacramento that would become the epicenter of a whole new sound. By his teens, he was already rapping, recording on cheap equipment, and selling tapes out of the trunk of his car. In 1989, at just 19 years old, he released his first single, Too Hard for the Radio. It wasn't just music, it was a snapshot of Vallejo life: fast cars, parties, street stories, and that bouncy, upbeat rhythm that no one else was doing yet. He wasn't rapping about gang wars or deep pain like other West Coast artists. He rapped about having fun, being flashy, and living life on his own terms.
Special bulletin. I'm your president, Ronald Reagan. If any of you young men from the Bay Area can rap, we need you to do that. Step it up to your full capabilities right now.
But success hit a pause in 1992. Andre and 4 others were arrested and charged with robbing several banks in Northern California. The case was controversial. Andre always maintained he was innocent, saying police targeted him because he was a popular local rapper. He took a plea deal to avoid a long sentence and ended up serving just under 5 years in federal prison.
When you pass me the ball, I must dunk. When you see me in the ball, I'll leave him punch drunk. With one punch. Lumpity lump lump.
When Mac Dre came home in 1996, he didn't slow down, he doubled down. He founded his own label, Thiz Entertainment, and started pumping out music faster than anyone could keep up with. Between 1996 and 2004, he released over 20 albums and mixtapes.
Before you present your stuff to reputable motherfuckers that can take you to the next level, have your shit tight and ready. Make sure your beats and your lyrics is up there, and when you listen to it, ask yourself, is it hanging with the people that's professionals already before you even try it? Or else you're gonna clown yourself and you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
This was the era of Hyphy, short for hyperactive. It was more than music, it was a lifestyle. It was the way you dressed, the way you danced, the way you drove your car. Mac Dre was its undisputed king. Songs like Feeling Myself, Get Stupid, and Thizzle Dance weren't just hits, they were anthems that spread across California, then the whole country. He became the first Bay Area rapper to sign a major distribution deal without giving up ownership of his music. He was a businessman, a trendsetter, and a hero to an entire region. To fans, he was more than a rapper. He was the guy who made you proud to be from the Bay.
Man, I'm many people and they all want to get paid. I've been a lot of places and there's no places like the Bay because so many races interact with each other and they get along good. It's not a lot of racial tension out here. If it's any tension, it's just tension between he's from there, or she did this, he did this. So, and I can kick with all different kind of people. Sometimes I get tired of being thugged out, so I go kick with the other guys for a minute, or some woo. So I'm many people, and that's what I think made my style so different from everybody else's, because I done damn near, you feel me?
Yeah.
My Asian cats, my Filipino niggas, my niggas in Frisco, Mexicans, and you know what I'm saying, a little bit of everything. I got all kind of friends. Feel me? You can talk to, you can do things that other people can't, because they got the blinders on and they don't know, because they haven't opened up and actually learn. If they have been exposed to this stuff, they weren't learning and seeing what it was really. I'm a people person. I'm interested to see how other people live. You feel me? What they might be doing.
By late 2004, Mac Dre was bigger than ever. He was touring nationwide, expanding his brand, and planning to take Hyphy global. On October 31st, 2004, Halloween night, he performed at a club in Kansas City, Missouri. What happened that night has been talked about 1,000 times, but let's stick to what's confirmed. The show went well, but there were reports of tension between Mac Dre's crew and some local people backstage. Some say there was an argument over money or respect. Others say it was nothing more than small talk. Nothing violent happened at the venue. After the show, Dre and his team got in a white van and drove toward the highway to head to their hotel. Around 3:30 a.m. on November 1st, a black Infiniti pulled up alongside them on US Route 71. Someone inside opened fire. One bullet hit Mac Dre in the neck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He was only 34 years old.
Between one of them shows, leaving one of them shows, his van was shot up and he was found dead off the side of the freeway. You know what I mean? So once that was reported, we devastated. First of all, everybody ready to slide something too, period. Devastated, ready to slide, but at the same time, like, damn, bro, like, if they do that to Dre, they'll do that to any of us.
Music scene in the Bay was affected by the death of Mac Dre.
Well, Mac Dre went out like a martyr, you know what I mean? He was like, he's the guy. So you got Too Short and E40. Everybody's gonna say, man, they the ones that set it off. And then you got Mac Dre and Keek the Sneak. And they came along and they just, you know, took all the youngsters and just whipped them in a frenzy and the Hyphy movement.
Yeah.
And you know, when Mac Dre got killed, it was like Martin Luther King in the Bay. You know what I mean? It was that kind of loss.
Would you compare it almost similar to like how when Nipsey got killed to Los Angeles?
It's the same thing. It's the same Biggie, Pac. It's the same loss.
Police found the getaway car abandoned a short distance away. It had been reported stolen days earlier. No witnesses came forward. No suspects were named. Almost immediately, though, the streets had a name, Fat Tone.
I'm a straight street nigga. I come from the gutter, you know what I'm talking about? So all my shit be straight real. I mean, everything I'm saying is real from the soil, from the roots up. You know what I'm saying? No fake ass shit. Niggas is really doing this shit up here. All this shit crack, nigga. 24/7 drive-bys, gang banging shit, all this shit, nigga. It's the soil. Killer City, nigga. I'm repping to death, nigga. I'm still in the hood, nigga.
Anthony Watkins, better known to the world as Fat Tone, was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1977. While Mac Dre was building his empire in California, Tone was doing the exact same thing in the Midwest.
I had a concert out there. Doing a concert with Tech Nine opened up for me. You know what I'm saying? So Fat Tone wound up coming to my hotel room. He was a young kid, about 15 or some shit, right? And he was hyped up. Man, cuz, put me on, man. I can rap, right? I can rap. You know what I'm saying? So we like, fuck, let that little nigga rap, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and he rapped and shit. We like, okay, nigga, yeah. So from there, we was like, okay, I'm gonna fuck with you. You know, I'm gonna fuck with you. You feel me?
Yeah. He started rapping as a teenager, but he was also known for being sharp, connected, and influential. Kansas City had its own sound, grittier, darker, more tied to the streets, and Fat Tone was his biggest star. His music told stories of life in KC, the poverty, the violence, the come up, and the power struggles that ruled the city. By his mid-20s, Tone wasn't just a rapper, he was a major figure in the local scene. He had alliances with artists from all over the country, including big names from the South and West Coast. He was wealthy, well-connected, and feared by many, but he also had a reputation. If you came to Kansas City, you respected the rules, or you had a problem. Within 24 hours of Mac Dre's death, the name Fat Tone was everywhere. Why? 3 main reasons, none of them proven, but all powerful enough to become fact in the streets. 1. The backstage argument. Multiple people claimed that during Mac Dre's Halloween show, Fat Tone and his crew were there. They said words were exchanged, that Tone felt Dre had disrespected Kansas City, or that Dre refused to pay Tone a local fee that established artists were expected to pay when they came through. 2. The threat. Rumors spread that Tone had publicly said, nobody comes to KC and does what he did and leaves alive. 3. The timeline. He was in the city that night, he had the motive, he had the crew, and he had the reputation. Police questioned Fat Tone early in the investigation. He denied any involvement, said he wasn't even at the show, and had an alibi. Detectives found zero physical evidence linking him to the shooting. No gun, no DNA, no witnesses who could place him there. But in the world of street politics, you don't need evidence to be guilty. To Mac Dre's friends, family, and fans, Fat Tone was the man who killed their hero.
And as soon as it happened, the streets started to talk. People started saying, coming up with names of who was responsible for this. And a Kansas City rapper named Fat Tone,
one of the first names,
was the one that people were pointing their fingers at.
Definitely.
According to the investigators that I actually interviewed while doing American Gangster, they were all saying that Fat Tone wasn't the guy who did it.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
Nah.
From everything I heard doing the documentary, I heard that Fat Tone really didn't have nothing to do with it.
He didn't. It's just people turning it into something. Yeah, Thizzle Van, I shot the Thizzle Man. I never heard that song.
For 6 months, Fat Tone went about his life. He kept making music, kept doing business, and traveled across the country. He probably thought the rumors would die down. They didn't.
A rap artist from Kansas City is gunned down and killed in Las Vegas. Tonight, some on the street are wondering, is it revenge for the murder of a West Coast rapper here? Good evening, everyone. That murder last fall in Kansas City is still unsolved.
Now, a Kansas City rapper named Fat Tone is killed in Las Vegas. Peggy Bright is live at Kansas City Police Headquarters with the story. Peggy?
Kelly, police here knew him as Anthony Watkins. But in the world of hip-hop, he was known as Fat Tone, a 24-year-old rapper who, for sometimes reasons that he did not want, made a name for himself both locally and nationally.
On May 16th, 2005, Tone was in Las Vegas, Nevada for the Mayweather versus Gaddy boxing fight, a huge weekend for celebrities and rappers. He checked into the Luxor Hotel and Casino, partied all night, and around 2:30 a.m. walked out to the parking lot with a friend. Two men walked up to them, opened fire, and ran away. Fat Tone was hit multiple times and died at the scene. His friend was injured but survived. Just like that, the man everyone thought killed Mac Dre was dead, but this time there was a witness, and this time the shooter had a name, Mac Minister. Andre Dow, known as Mac Minister, but wasn't just a rapper. He was a West Coast legend, a close friend of Mac Dre's, and one of the most respected figures in the California hip-hop scene. Big, charismatic, and fiercely loyal. He was the kind of person people went to when they needed something done. When Mac Dre died, Mac Minister was devastated. He said in interviews later, Dre was family. He didn't just die. He was taken from us, and you don't let that slide. From day one, he believed the rumors. Fat Tone did it. He didn't need police reports or forensics. He had heard the stories. He knew how the game worked, and he decided that if the law wouldn't handle it, he would.
I got up here, we didn't have a gun in the best. Hell no. Hell no. Could have catch you up here. Talk about protection. But you know what though? This right here, the uniform you got on, in a minute, them little bambinos that's coming up, they ain't gonna give a fuck about it. Watch what I tell you. They don't, them took the gun van out. Watch them youngsters. Yeah, but you know what? Watch them youngsters. That's what you better know. When you grab one of them and they go, all right, you better watch. You better watch, okay? They pull them out of that blind jacket you got right there, that shit is over with. They pull them and they're not giving a fuck about that. In a minute, you're going to need to stand by me for your protection. You're going to be telling motherfuckers, I know Chopper. I know Chopper.
For 6 months, Mac Minister tracked Fat Tone. He used his connections across the country to find out where Tone was, who he was with, and where he was going. When he heard Tone would be in Las Vegas for the big fight weekend, he made his move. He drove from California to Nevada with 2 associates. They found Tone at the Luxor, waited for him to come outside, and carried out the shooting. Within days, police had identified Mac Minister as a suspect. He was arrested in California a few months later, extradited to Nevada, and put on trial for first-degree murder. During the trial, Mac Minister didn't deny it. In fact, he admitted to everything. He told the court, I did it because he killed Mac Dre. Everybody knows he killed Mac Dre. The police couldn't touch him, so I did what I had to do. The jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, where he remains to this day.
Rapper Mac Minister insists he's an innocent man. He's been telling me this during phone calls from prison, and he's alleging this in court. But prosecutors argue there are too many connections between Mac Minister and 3 people who wound up dead.
So who killed Fat Tone?
How did they end up murdered in your girlfriend's car?
I don't have no answer for that.
Do you believe he's 100% innocent?
I do. Based on this evidence, I do.
Lateef Gray says he uncovered information about witness Antoine Mouton, a convicted pimp with a lengthy criminal history. Records show when he claims he was in Las Vegas and Dow made incriminating statements to him, he was actually in custody in Georgia.
Here's the part that people still argue about today, the part that makes this story so tragic. We still don't know for sure who killed Mac Dre. Confirmed facts. Mac Dre was killed in Kansas City in 2004. Case is officially open and unsolved. Fat Tone was killed in 2005. Mac Minister admitted to the killing and is in prison. There is zero official evidence that Fat Tone had anything to do with Mac Dre's death. No gun, no DNA, no witnesses, no confessions, only rumors and street talk. The big question, did Mac Minister kill an innocent man, or did he get justice for his friend? Some people say yes, that Fat Tone's reputation and the backstage drama were enough proof. Others say no, that Tone was in the wrong place at the wrong time and died because of gossip and street politics. And what about the actual killer? Whoever pulled the trigger in Kansas City in 2004 has never been caught. They are still free today.
Mac Minister and Jace Coleon.
Yeah. And I interviewed Mac Minister from prison.
Right.
He's doing quadruple life.
Yeah, they've got the same amount of time.
Oh, they both
They
got
both co-defendants. Mac Minister and Coley both got 4 life sentences. I just left Coleon in High Desert in Vegas. He was my cellie there.
Can you say who did it? Who you think did it?
I mean, from what I understand, the street saying everybody that did it is gone. They're all supposed to be dead.
They're all dead.
Yeah, that's what I understand. You know.
Mac Dre, Fat Tone, Mac Minister, 3 talented men, all from different worlds, all bound together by music, loyalty, and violence. Mac Dre left behind a legacy that still shapes hip-hop today. Fat Tone was the king of his city, gone too young. Mac Minister is in prison forever, convinced he did the right thing. But one mystery remains. Who really killed Mac Dre? Unless new evidence comes to light, we may never know. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe and drop a comment below. Do you think Fat Tone was guilty, or was he just a victim of rumors?